Hey guys, tonight we drift back to a time and place where the day's heat arrives before breakfast, and even your shadow looks exhausted by midday. You're in 18th century Senegal, somewhere along the shimmering belly of the Senegal River, where laundry is not a chore, it's a ritual, a gossip session, and let's be honest, a full-body cardio workout. Your arms ache before you even touch the first damp wrap, and your feet, let's just say they've made peace with the mud. But here's the thing, this isn't your modern laundry day where you throw clothes into a machine, scroll on your phone, and complain about folding. This one involves rivers, wild herbs, and the looming presence of crocodiles. Oh, and colonial officers who judge your soap quality. You probably won't survive this without sore shoulders and at least one bite from something with too many legs. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it there? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up before the sky turns blue. It's not exactly voluntary. Your mat is too thin. The thatch roof above you leaks dust, and the air somehow is already thick with heat. You sit up slowly, not because you're lazy, but because the world isn't in a rush here. Everything moves with the drag of humidity. Even your thoughts feel like they're sweating. A rooster croaks somewhere across the sandy courtyard. Not crows croaks. He's got one job, and he's phoning it in. Your cousin's child is already crying. Water sloshes in a calabash bowl as someone nearby rinses their face. You stretch out your arms, twist your spine until it pops like green wood. Another long day of laundry, and your muscles remember it before you even start. You wrap your penny fabric, once bright but now faded in streaks from years of washing and sun. You tie a strip of cloth around your head, flattening your sleep-slick hair. No mirror. You don't need one. You know this face. Outside, the sky is low and pink. Dust clings to every breath. You grab the bundle of laundry from beside the door, shirts, wraps, under things, linens. Some are yours. Some are your mother's. Some were pressed on you by your cousin's wife, with a look that said, "Please, I know you go to the river early." That bundle grows heavier each time. You trudge along the narrow path worn by generations of bare feet. To your right, rows of thatch roofs. To your left, a dry patch of millet swaying half-heartedly in the morning air. There are no sidewalks. The earth is your guide, and your soles read it like braille. By the time you reach the bend in the river, the place the women favor because the current is tame and the hippos mostly leave it alone, the sun is just beginning to assert itself. You pause, breathe. There it is, the Senegal River, long and brown and full of stories. Today, it's your basin. You roll your shoulders. The fabric bundle shifts against your hip. A goat bleats somewhere behind you like it's trying to warn you off. You ignore it. Stepping closer to the edge, you scan the waterline. No crocodiles. Probably. They prefer the deeper channels, you tell yourself. Still, you stick to the shallows. That logic's kept your ankles intact so far. The water reflects the sky now, and steam curls off the surface. Like sighs, you kneel and dip your fingers in. Warm. It's going to be a hot one. Behind you, someone's singing. Probably Ndai, the oldest washer among you, with a voice like river stones. She's always first to arrive, even older than the rooster. You smile to yourself. Time to begin. Your bundle hits the ground with a puff of dust. You untie it, spreading the garments out like pages in a diary. Cotton, linen, bark cloth, even a scrap of silk so fine you wonder who dared soil it. From your pouch, you pull your washing mixture, crushed ash-powdered baobab bark, and bits of clay from the termite mounds. It's all dry for now. You sprinkle it into a gourd bowl and add water, slowly watching the lather foam up like bread dough. It smells smoky, tangy, wild. You reach for the first item, your mother's wrap, faded blue with cracked indigo patterns, and begin to soak it. The fabric turns darker as it drinks the river. You rub it against itself, firm and rhythmic, like kneading memory out of the threads. The lather turns gray. You glance sideways at it, amused. This is not some idle rinse. This is war. Historians still argue whether women like you were strictly bound to river washing out of necessity, or if there was also a social magnetism, something that pulled you to this shared space like moths to glowing gossip. But right now it's just you and the cloth, and your hands are winning. The first joke of the day comes from behind you. Careful, if you scrub harder, you'll wash out your sins. You laugh. It's Aminata, always the same line, always funny, mostly because she says it, while furiously scrubbing her husband's underpants. You reply, if that worked, you'd be a saint by now. The sun climbs slow but merciless. Already your dress sticks to your back. A bead of sweat runs down your spine and meets the waistband of your wrap like it's heading home. You glance out at the water. A lone canoe drifts by with two boys fishing lazily. One of them waves. You nod. He's got more free time than clean clothes. You start on the French linen, a delicate white sheet with embroidery so fine it could snag on a whisper. You hate it. It stains just by thinking rude thoughts at it. But it's worth more than a goat and belonged to one of the colonial families who passed it down like mispronounced Wolof. You scrub it carefully, muttering half curses, half prayers. If this comes out stained, the village will hear about it for a week. If it comes out clean, no one will say a word. The river flows endless and unbothered, and you bent at its edge, arms elbow deep in foam, are just part of the day one thread in the long, tangled cloth of history. The river doesn't hum exactly, it sloshes, it glugs, it breathes. But to you, it feels like a hum, and that's good enough. You're knee-deep now, skirt hiked and pinned at your hip, the bundle beside you shrinking with each scrubbed piece. The Senegal River is your laundry room, wide, shimmering, impossible to escape. You lean over a tunic, coarse weave, probably your uncle's, and start the push and drag. Push, drag, rinse. Slap it on the water hard enough to make a splash, but not so hard that it folds itself into a knot. You've learned that balance. Too hard, the fabric bruises. Too soft, the stain stays. Welcome to the art of clean. Beside you, Ndaya clears her throat with the gravity of a queen. Those boys again, she mutters. You glance up. Sure enough, a pair of young men in uniform, loose-fitting coats, red trimming, mismatched buttons, are lounging at the upper bank. Not close enough to scold, not far enough to ignore. You raise an eyebrow. Let them stare. Maybe they'll learn how real work looks. Ndai chuckles, her gold tooth catching the morning light. They only learn when it bites them. She slaps a sodden shirt against a flat rock, and even then only sometimes. It's true. The soldiers come and go like the tides posted here, for order though mostly. They drink local palm wine and fall asleep under neem trees. Occasionally they bring new rules, taxes, cloth quotas, curfews, but they rarely enforce them with precision. Their officers write letters with big words. Their boots always need cleaning. And their uniforms, guess who washes those? You work steadily through the pile water curling around your ankles. Your toes dig into the silt for grip. The current tickles past your legs like a school of invisible fish. Further out, birds dive for their breakfast, white herons with awkward grace. One flaps too low and catches a wingtip in the water. You smile. Even the birds miscalculate sometimes. The scent in the air is a mix of everything: sunworm, soap, damp fabric, fermenting leaves, and something sour and metallic that the elders blame on the soldiers. You just call it morning. Another washer joins you, a teenage girl with tight braids and an awkward gait. You nod in greeting. She sets her bundle down and glances around nervously. First time you ask gently. She nods. Mom is sick. I said I'd help. You dip your hand into your bucket, pull out a handful of the foam, and pass it to her. Start with your own. Learn on something that doesn't talk back. She laughs grateful. Her eyes scan the water like she's half expecting it to bite. And it might. A crocodile was spotted last month downstream past the bend. Big one, they said. The kind that doesn't flinch at yelling. A few women went armed with sticks after that. But the sticks were mostly for show. Everyone knows a real crocodile doesn't respect sticks. It respects not seeing you. Did you ever see it? The girl asks them. You shrug. I heard the splash, but no teeth. Not yet. This is the game laundry near danger. It's like chopping onions next to a lion. You can do it, but you have to mean it. The girl settles in beside you, awkwardly lifting a tunic to the water and mimicking your rhythm. She'll get it. Everyone starts with scrapes and suds in their ears. As the sun climbs, the bend grows livelier. More women arrive. Voices ripple through the air like wind through mosquito netting. One bursts out laughing, probably at a memory or maybe a new rumor. Word travels faster at the riverbank than in any colonial mailbag. And then, like every morning, you hear it, the slap, slap, slap of fabric hitting water in unison. It begins as accident, then it becomes rhythm. Then suddenly, you're part of it. The slap is percussion, the river is melody, and your hands are instruments. You lift a heavy pair of trousers, wring them out, and snap them into the rhythm. Slap, slap, slap. The sound bounces off the water, off the rock ledges, off the laughing voices. Someone hums a tune. Someone else joins. It's not a song you recognize, maybe made up on the spot, but it fits. Every washer's hand is moving in time now. This is not a job. This is music. Historians still argue whether these rhythms, this laundry drumming, as some call it, were a relic of pre-colonial ceremony or just a way to keep morale high during daily labor. Maybe both. Maybe neither. But whatever it is, it settles something deep inside you. At one point, your baby stirs on your back. You'd almost forgotten he was there, tied up snug in cloth pressed between your shoulder blades, like a little drum of breath. He murmurs a few complaint noises, then dozes off again. Even he knows the rhythm means all is well. You pause to adjust the wrap. He's heavy now, almost walking, but you still carry him like a secret. His face rests against your spine, warm and damp. You reach around and pat his leg. He's there. You're here. The river continues. You pull out a bright orange wrapper, one you save for market days. The one with the subtle tear at the hem that you haven't stitched yet. You scrub it carefully. That wrapper has a story. Worn the day you told your husband you were pregnant. Worn again the day he told you the taxes had doubled. It's been through our speeches and silences. It deserves clean. Up the bank, the soldiers are arguing again. One gestures to his boots, another swats a fly. You're not listening. You've chosen peace today. And today, peace is water soap and something like music. By late morning, the sun has burned away the last traces of chill. Your skin is damp and salty. The edges of your fingernails are pale from scrubbing, and still the river gives. You stand to stretch water trailing from your knees. From this angle, you can see the whole bend, the rows of women, the dripping garments, the shimmer of lye bubbles across the surface. And somehow, despite the aching back, the biting bugs, the leering soldiers, you feel calm. You are not just washing clothes, you are preserving dignity, softening sorrow, folding beauty into every rinse. You bend back down. There's work still to do. The river waits, and it hums. You don't know exactly when the mixture starts to smell right, like clean earth after rain, like crushed bark and memory, but you feel it when it happens. Your lather's gone creamy, the soapstones have dissolved into something smooth, and your hands are so used to the motion they've stopped complaining. That's when you reach for the big piece, a white wrap, streaked with red dust and age. You frown. It's cotton, European cotton, too soft, too eager to wrinkle, and way too willing to hold on to stains like they're family heirlooms. You squint at the faded embroidery stitched into the corner, a name in French script, probably a leftover from an officer's wife or mistress. No one's ever too clear on that, and nobody asks. The irony doesn't escape you. This cloth was once shipped from Europe, worn by someone who couldn't name this river if their life depended on it, and now it's in your lap, being massaged with bark foam under a sky so bright it hurts to blink. You dip it slowly into the river, letting the current tease the threads loose. Then you work it. Gently at first. European cotton tears like gossip, fast, loud, and impossible to fix. But the stain is stubborn, probably clay, possibly blood. You press your thumb into it, working in circular motions. Baobab bark soap doesn't bubble like modern detergent. It doesn't foam in a satisfying way. But it does smell of something ancient, like the underside of tree bark and ashes, carried from fires long gone. It's rough, effective. It leaves your fingers dry, but the fabric listens. You glance up. Aminata's arguing with a woman across the water. Something about who took whose bucket. You pretend not to notice, though you absolutely notice. You always do. Everyone does. This is a laundry site, but it's also the community bulletin courtroom and open-air comedy stage. A voice calls out, "You used the wrong clay, Aminata." Your clay doesn't even clean your mouth. Everyone laughs. Even Ndaya, who rarely rewards foolishness, chuckles into her collar. You look back at your rep. The stain is fading, but it's not gone. You sigh. Time for the trick. You dig into your satchel and pull out a ball of crushed leaves, tamarind, and bitter gourd. Not traditional soap, not by itself, but when ground and soaked overnight, it becomes a sour, acidic scrub. You rub it over the stubborn blotch and whisper, more out of habit than belief, "Out stain. Out. Bad luck." Historians still argue whether these whispered incantations were spiritual, psychological, or just part of muscle memory. You don't argue. You just know it works sometimes, and sometimes is good enough. You rinse again. The fabric darkens, then lightens as the water falls away. You wring it out with the care of someone twisting fate itself. The stain is mostly gone. Good enough for inspection. Smells like victory, you mutter. Smells like tamarind, someone corrects. Probably Fatu. She's got ears like a civet cat. You stick your tongue out at her. She grins. Time moves oddly here. It stretches and folds like the fabrics in your basket. 1 minute you've just started. The next you're halfway through your load. Your muscles soar in a familiar, almost welcome way. You've stopped keeping track of time the way the French do with clocks. You measure time by the wetness of the hems and the position of the sun against the acacia trees. A gust of wind lifts one of the lighter wraps, nearly tossing it into the river. You leap forward, grab it by a corner, and save it. Just barely. It's your aunt's. She would have noticed. She always does. You drape it over a tree root to let it drip and breathe. You stand still for a moment, catching your breath. A breeze stirs the trees. The water shines like bruised silver. And then from a few yards upstream, someone shrieks. Everyone turns. It's not a scream of fear, more like panic mixed with embarrassment. The teenage girl from earlier is flailing. She's lost grip of a shirt, and the currents pulled it out of reach. You dash toward her, drop your bucket, and wade deeper than usual. The shirt is already spinning downstream, but it's still close enough. Your legs burn against the pull of the water. You stretch your arms, fingers brushing the cloth. One more step, one more reach. You catch it. The current yanks once more, then lets go, and you stumble back, soaked to the thighs. You hold the shirt above your head like a trophy. Everyone claps. Even the soldiers on the bank, bored out of their minds, offer a lazy cheer. You wade back toward the girl. She looks ashamed. You put the shirt into her hands. "You okay?" She nods. "I thought it was just water." You smirk. "It is, but it's also a test." You both laugh. And just like that, it's over. The moment fades. Back to work. Still your limbs are tired now? You wring out your own skirt and sit on a rock, letting your calves soak. You deserve a moment. Even heroes of wet laundry get breaks. Di passes you a roasted peanut wrapped in cloth. Eat before you turn into soap. You thank her, crack the peanut with your teeth and let the flavor distract you. It's salty, familiar, human. In the distance, a drum beat starts, faint, probably from the market clearing. It echoes faintly over the water, a reminder that the world spins beyond the river, even if this bend feels like the center of it. You lean back on your palms, eyes half closed, letting the sun find your face. Somewhere upstream, someone's still singing. You can't hear the words, but the tune, you know it. It's the one that says, you're here, you're working, you're surviving, and that's enough. You don't remember when the rhythm took over completely, but now it's everywhere in your breath, in your wrists, in the river's endless shush. You scrub, twist, slap, rinse. Each motion folds into the next, like footsteps in a familiar dance. You're not thinking about laundry anymore, you're inside it. Around you, the bend has bloomed with movement. Fabrics of every color ripple across tree roots, and low-lying rocks, scarlets and indigos, sun-dulled yellows and every shade of clay. It looks like someone tried to paint the riverbank with worn-out dreams. And the noise. The women's chatter rises and dips in waves. There are maybe 15 of you now, each hunched over your load, but with one ear turned outward. Conversations float between the suds like small fish, fast silvery, impossible to catch all at once. She said the chief's daughter is engaged to the tobacco merchant. I heard he's already got 2 wives and a crooked back. Well, maybe she likes back problems. Some girls don't want to walk far. Laughter? Loud, free cracking through the humidity like a cold splash. You can't help smiling. The gossip is endless but never mean. Not here. It softens the work, fills the empty space, where silence would let your back start aching louder. Someone calls out your name. It's Aminata holding up one of your wraps. You stitched this wrong. You squint at it. I stitched it tired. She grins. Then it matches your face. You respond by splashing water at her. She gasps, then retaliates. Within seconds, there's a spray war. Half-hearted, gleeful, short-lived. It breaks up the monotony. You wipe your eyes, still laughing. The wrap is fine. Better to wear a crooked stitch than a blank expression. A baby starts wailing. Not yours this time. Another woman, Mariama, sighs and lifts her child off the ground, cradling him with one arm while wringing a tunic with the other. Multitasking before anyone invented the word. You've done that too. Still do some days. Balance a whole person on your back and a full basin in your hands. It's not just a talent, it's a necessity. Laundry waits for no one, not even teething babies. Your baby sleeping, Mariama asks. You nod. He knows better than to wake up now. He'd have to help. She cackles, bouncing her son gently as he nestles into her chest. The women next to her launch into a memory about when their children tried to do the washing and just ended up soaking themselves in the neighbor's goat. You're all laughing again. The goat never forgave them. Historians still argue whether this gathering of women at riversides was more social than practical, whether the work could have been divided, outsourced, mechanized, even in primitive ways. But that's missing the point. The river isn't just a place to clean things. It's a place to connect. You turn your attention back to a tunic that smells faintly of sweat and roasted peanuts. It's your brother's, the one he refuses to wash properly because it builds character. You roll your eyes. Men and their ridiculous pride. He'll never admit how much work goes into keeping his clothes from turning into tents of mildew and excuses. You scrub it with extra force. Character, you mutter, rinsing the neck seam. Smells more like goat. The girl from earlier sidles up beside you. She's soaked from mid-thigh to collarbone, but grinning like she's figured something out. You were right, she says. about what this is like dancing, but with more foam. You nod, and more judgment. She giggles. You think they're judging. You glance around, of course, but only if they care. Silence is worse. She looks momentarily confused, then thoughtful. So, if they tease you, you're fine, you smile. If they don't tease you, worry. She nods, trying that idea on like a new head wrap. A burst of shouting cuts through the air. The soldiers, again. You look up. This time they're arguing amongst themselves, one gesturing angrily toward the river, the other shaking his head. You tilt your head. Bet it's about laundry, Ndai smirks. Bet one of them ran out of clean underwear. Aminata adds, bet they've been turning them inside out for a week. The whole bend erupts. You cover your mouth to hide the grin. Still, their presence lingers like smoke. Foreign eyes on familiar tasks. It's not new, it never was. The French are always watching, always measuring. They count your buckets, track your soap use, even ask about efficiency. As if you're a factory, as if the river runs on profit margins. You remember last season when an officer asked if you could cut washing time by half. You'd looked him straight in the eye and said, "Sure, just send half as many shirts." He hadn't understood the joke. That made it funnier. You crouch back down, massaging a stiff corner of fabric between your knuckles. The water's cooled, slightly shadow from the overhead trees, now stretching across the bend. Time is sliding forward gently. A group of children wade in a few yards downstream. Their feet kick up clouds of silt, their voices sharp and bird-like. One of them tosses a mango pit into the air and tries to catch it on his forehead. He fails. Spectacularly. Keep trying, someone shouts. Maybe you'll invent a new kind of hat, another adds. This is how your day shapes itself, not around clocks or bells, but around laughter and fabric and whatever the river gives you. You wring out the final wrap in your pile. It's light blue, soft, with a patch sewn on one corner from the time it caught fire briefly dramatically during a cooking mishap. The memory makes you snort. You remember yelling, and your sister swatting it with a spoon. You saved it. You always do. You stand slowly, stretch again. Your spine sounds like a drum roll. The sun is higher now, sharp and assertive. Heat clings to your arms, your cheeks, your breath. Everything smells like lye and bark and something faintly sweet, maybe. Guava trees blooming upstream. You pick up your emptied basin, tip it to drain the last of the gray water. The sound is familiar, comforting, like punctuation. There's still more work ahead. You'll haul the wet bundles back. You'll ring again. You'll find space to dry. You'll field at least one accusation about whose skirt was left too long in the sun. But for now, you just breathe. The river runs on. And so do you. By now, the baby on your back is warm and motionless, his tiny breath puffing against the thin wrap between you. His head is nestled in the curve of your spine, like he's a part of you that never learned to let go. You shift slightly to adjust the knot across your chest, careful not to wake him. You remember when your own mother taught you how to bind a baby like this? Tight but kind, she said, wrapping the cloth twice, then tucking the tail like it was a secret. They sleep better when they feel your heart beating. And they do. Your boy sleeps soundest when you're moving, scrubbing, hauling, stretching, lifting his rest braided into your labor. It's funny how rest and work learn to coexist. Just like you and the river, you reach for another garment, an older woman's ceremonial wrap, stiff with salt and oil, maybe from the last wedding. The pattern is faded, but beautiful orange diamonds, seafoam green vines, tiny birds embroidered along the hem. You scrub it gently, respecting the thread. Someone sighs beside you. It's Ndai. She's watching her own pile, like it insulted her in a dream. My knees weren't made for this anymore, she mutters. You nod toward her fabric. Then your knees better learn some humility. That's lace. She groans, stretching her leg. You think they'll still invite me to wash in the next life, you laugh. Only if you're lucky. She chuckles, but there's something else behind it. Tiredness, not just in her body, but in her memory. The kind of fatigue that comes from years of sunrise laundry, from babies born and buried, from river seasons and tax collectors. You honor that silence by not filling it. The teenage girl, what was her name? You think it's Aissatou, leans forward and offers Ndai a folded rag to kneel on. A simple act. Reverent, you smile. That's how respect moves here, quiet and useful. The conversation shifts back to the French. Fatou, they want their laundry done before the rains. Aminata, of course they do. They think we control the clouds. And Ndai, tell them to write a letter to the sky in French. Laughter again. It always returns. You bend low to dunk a garment when you notice something strange, a pair of fine men's socks, imported, tight weave, soft like clouds. You frown. They don't belong to anyone you know. Probably snuck into your pile by mistake or deliberately. Sometimes the soldier boys slide garments into your load. Without asking, they think it's clever. It's not. You hold up the socks. Whose are these? No one answers. You look toward the bank. The soldiers are still pretending not to watch. But one of them, the skinny one with the pencil-thin mustache, is suddenly interested in his own boots. You raise the socks above your head. Did the wind wash these here? Ndai smirks. More like the wind has a mustache. You toss them into your rinse basin, irritated but unsurprised. You'll wash them, because you always do. Not for them, but because dirty socks don't belong in clean stories. You scrub fast now, angrily. The soap bites your cuticles. Your breath shortens. The rhythm's still there, but now it's a march, not a dance. Aissatou sees your face. Want me to finish them? You shake your head. No, let me teach these socks a lesson. You both laugh. The tension breaks. Historians still argue whether laundry in colonial West Africa was exploitative or collaborative. The records are uneven, the women's voices often missing. But here on this riverbank, you know what it is, endurance. Not of politics, but of soap and skin and sweat and pride. You slap the socks clean and rinse them twice just to prove a point. Then you lay them on the branch of a tamarind tree to dry in plain view. Let the mustached fool come retrieve them himself. The baby shifts slightly. You pause to rub his back through the cloth. Still asleep, still warm. Upstream, someone's cooking. You smell roasted cassava, charred and nutty, and your stomach growls. The first wave of hunger hits like a tide. You ignore it. There's still work to do. You check your hands. Wrinkled, pale, bits of bark caught beneath your nails. One thumbnail's split, and the skin around your knuckles looks like it belongs to a tree. You plunge them into the river to rinse, watching the cloudy water swirl around your fingertips. Then you cup some to your face, dabbing gently. It's not cold, but it's refreshing. For a moment you close your eyes and let the sounds wash over you. The splash of fabric, the rustle of wind, the low hum of gossip. The screech of a child running too fast. Then something hits your shoulder. You open your eyes. It's a wet fig, thrown by a toddler. He's standing 5 feet away, holding another one like a weapon. You raise an eyebrow. You sure you want this war? He laughs and runs. His mother calls after him half-heartedly. Leave the women alone, or I'll wash you next. You smile. These are the moments that fill the hours, the ones no textbook records. A fig fight, a crooked smile, a wrap that dries perfectly despite the wind. You stand again, stretch once more. Your baby sighs contentedly. The wrap creaks softly against your spine. You've got one last item in your pile, a head wrap with gold threads and oil stains, your own. You saved it for last. Not out of vanity, but out of habit. You wash everyone else's first. Always. You dip it in. Begin the motion. Scrub. Rinse. Press. Rinse again. You work the oil out slowly, watching it rise and break like dreams you forgot you had. The gold threads glint in the sun, still beautiful despite it all. You smile. You've done enough for the morning, and you're not done yet. White cotton is a liar. It pretends to be innocent, soft, pure, delicate, but you know better. It clings to stains like secrets, turns yellow when you look away, and under the 18th century Senegalese sun, it doesn't just dry, it accuses. You sigh and pick up the final French linen in your bundle. It's the good kind, smooth as polished shells with hand-stitched borders and a small red tag you've learned to dread. That tag means it belongs to the captain's wife, or possibly the captain's mistress. There's never any clarity but the consequences of mistaking one for the other. Oh, very clear. The wrap is off-white, now tinged with that telltale rust hue from the soil. You rub it between your palms like you're warming a lie back to the truth. The clay around here is rich, almost theatrical. It dyes feet hems and memories without permission. You glance around, no sign of a clay-free zone. The path here, the slope to the river, even your drying space are all red-brown smears of life. And no matter how careful you are, it always wins. Lisa, too, watches you scrub. That one's already lost, she offers gently. You shake your head. She'll notice the loss. She won't care about the effort. Aminata, close enough to overhear, chimes in. Tell her it's a new color. Desert dawn. Make it sound French, or whisper to the cloth, and Dye adds with a shrug. Sometimes shame lifts better than soap. They're joking, but only just, because the French want perfection, and they pay in whispers and frowns, not coins. One wrong hue, and they start asking if you mixed too much ash, or didn't rinse twice, or if maybe the river's current is less clean than before, as if the river works for them. Historians still argue whether white fabric was pushed on colonized communities as a symbol of superiority or simply imported in bulk because it was cheaper. Either way, white is work, white is judgment, white is danger wrapped in cotton thread. You press harder using your nails this time. The soil stain doesn't budge, it's baked in like a memory. A small flock of birds scatters from a nearby shrub, startled by a splash downstream. You don't look up. You know the splash wasn't a crocodile. That sound would have emptied the riverbank in half a heartbeat. Instead, it's a boy, maybe 10, paddling with a crooked wooden scoop, fishing for frogs probably, or just escaping the scolding of his grandmother. His laughter rings out. You envy him that carelessness. A gust of wind rolls across the water. It flutters the linen in your hands and rustles the wraps drying behind you. A few pieces threaten to lift off the branches. You hold them down quickly with rocks. That's another risk with white cloth. If it flies off and lands in the wrong mud patch, it's done. No forgiveness. The fabric becomes a permanent resident of disappointment. You sit back on your heels and shake out the linen. It drips like a quiet apology. The stain is still visible, but lighter now. You might just get away with it. You lay it out on a bamboo mat, angled toward the sun, then weigh it down at the corners. You whisper to the cloth anyway, be better when dry. Isatu grins. Do you always talk to them, only the ones that lie to me? She considers this. So, all of them. You smile. Exactly. You stretch your back. It sings its usual song, cracks and creaks and little complaints. But it's a song you know well. The sound of an honest day already halfway spent. A cart rumbles in the distance, wooden wheels over uneven dirt, probably bringing sugarcane from the north, or wine, or papers you'll never be allowed to read. The colonial officers always have something to roll through, something to announce with creaks and dust. You glance at your remaining pile, just a few more pieces, most of them already rinsed once, now waiting their turn in the second bucket. A slightly clearer rinse meant to lift the smell of soap, ash, and any pride the dirt wasn't taken. You reach for a child's garment. It's so small, barely enough cloth to wrap a memory in. You handle it carefully. This one belongs to a neighbor's son, the one who coughs through the night. His mother traded you dried mango to wash his clothes just this once, just until she gets her strength back. You cradle it, wash it gently. The dirt comes out easier from these smaller pieces, but there's always something more in them, something heavier than the weight suggests. As you rinse your baby shifts again, a soft grunt. You feel a wet patch spreading between your back and the cloth. You sigh, not sweat, not river, baby business, you murmur under your breath. You couldn't wait 5 more garments, a soft chuckle behind you. They never do, says Mariama, who's crouched nearby. She reaches over and hands you a clean cloth. Mine went twice already. I stopped pretending I had control. You untie the knot at your chest, carefully lower the baby into your lap. His face scrunches in the sunlight. He frowns. He stretches. He yawns like a cat, then opens one eye and scolds you silently for daring to wake him. You clean him up with practiced efficiency, rinse the wrap in a corner of the river downstream, and rebind him against your chest. He protests for one breath, then settles again. You hum, absent-minded, a tune your mother used to sing while scrubbing millet bowls. You never liked it then. You don't even know the words now, but your baby hums along with his breathing, and somehow that's enough. You stand again. One more rinse to go, one more pile to flatten. Then the sun will be high enough for drying, and the clothesline debate will begin. You look at the white wrap again, catching the light just right. The stain is almost invisible now. Almost. You take a step back. Squint. Maybe desert dawn is a French color. There's something sacred in the way gossip travels at the river, whispered, rinsed, wrung out, and folded into the next sentence like soap into fabric. You never set out to know everyone's business, but you'd have to plug your ears with millet husks to avoid it. A few yards down, Aminata's voice lifts above the rest, lilting with the pleasure of fresh scandal. So he brought the goat inside again, and she told him, "If the goat gets a bed before I do, I'll sleep with the chickens." Laughter erupts, sharp, bright, sincere. You don't even know who she's talking about this time. Could be her sister, could be a minister, could be her own husband. It doesn't matter. The river doesn't ask for citations. You glance up at Ndai, who gives a knowing look. "She's softening us," she says. You nod, preparing the cloth for the hard parts. Because yes, the laughter is balm, but it always gives way to heavier things. And sure enough, the topic shifts. They say the tax will rise again. On fabric, on everything, salt too. Even air if they could find a way. You grip a wet wrap a little tighter. That creeping heaviness slides in again like mold under the nails. The French don't need to shout. They only need to make you calculate how many wraps equal a bushel of rice, how many washes equal silence. Historians still argue whether colonial taxation systems were meant to extract wealth or simply control movement. Here at the riverbank, no one debates that. You just feel it. Like a second sun on your back, invisible but burning. The conversation turns again, politics to petty betrayal. Fanta says her husband's second wife sold her comb, not the ivory one. She traded it for a papaya tree and 2 weeks of silence. You let out a low whistle. Expensive peace, cheap divorce, Aminata says. You scrub harder, the rhythm of the gossip bleeding into your arms. The cloth in your hand seems heavier with every detail passed. It's not your story, but you've carried stranger burdens for less reason. And then someone says it, quietly, almost offhand. They say fighting broke out again north near Podor. The ripples in the river seem to still. You don't even realize you've stopped moving. French, someone asks. No locals, over land or honor. Or maybe someone's cattle went too far. It doesn't matter why. The tension arrives anyway, like smoke from a far-off fire. You don't need to see the flames to feel your throat tighten. You glance at your baby, still asleep, oblivious. Mariama speaks next, her voice low. Do we send the boys? Then Adai shakes her head. Not unless they call. Not unless the drummers sound. But you all know the drums don't always sound before blood touches cloth. You go back to scrubbing, but softer now, like the water has changed. Like the stories clinging to the fabric might leak into your skin if you press too hard. The girl Aissatou looks worried. She's holding a tunic but not washing it. You nudge her with your elbow. Don't stop. Worry scrubs nothing. She nods, eyes wide. Do they always talk like this? Only when something's real or when it's too quiet otherwise. And just like that, the mood shifts again. As if to banish the heaviness, Fatou starts humming a song about a fisherman who married a fish and got scolded by his mother for eating his bride's cousin. It's ridiculous, it's wonderful, and somehow it works. Everyone joins in the lyrics, warbling with laughter, voices out of tune but full of energy. You keep scrubbing, this time to music. You lift a pair of trousers from the basin and slap them hard on the water's surface. Slap, slap, slap. It syncs with the chorus. A chorus you barely remember, but somehow always know. The women are singing in different keys, some clapping, some still chuckling about the fish bride. Even the older ones sway slightly, the song threading between them like a cool breeze. And in that moment, the riverbank is a theater. The garments are stage props, and you're part of a play that rewrites sorrow into song. The soldiers who were earlier pretending not to listen now genuinely seem unsure whether to laugh or retreat. You catch one bobbing his head in time with the rhythm. Poor thing, doesn't even know he's the punchline. One of the children watching from the tree roots near the edge of the river mimics your motions. He slaps his own shirt against the water, then proudly shows the splash. You give him a small clap. He beams like he's earned a medal. Somewhere in the chaos, the gossip returns. Did you hear about the widow near the salt pits? She found coins under her floor. No, yes. And now her cousin visits twice a week. Suddenly very interested in her well-being. The laughter bubbles again, but you can feel the earlier thread, still lingering, still stitched into the space between words. That's the thing about riverbank gossip. It heals, but it doesn't erase. You reach the bottom of your basin, the last shirt, the last rinse. You hold it in your hands and shake the water out, then fold it over your arm. Done for now. You look down the line of women. Some are finishing. Some are still mid-scrub. Others are just sitting, letting the sun touch their backs and the breeze cool their calves. It's not about finishing quickly. It never is. It's about rhythm, story, sweat, and remembering who you are when your hands are too tired to pretend otherwise. You whisper something to yourself, not a prayer, not quite, just a word, maybe a name, maybe your own. And the river keeps moving. You'd think the soldiers would get bored. Watching women scrub cloth all morning isn't exactly the stuff of epics. And yet there they are, perched like curious storks on the rise above the river, passing a canteen back and forth and pretending they aren't fascinated. One of them, mustache man as Aminata has crowned him, has been staring at your corner of the bend for a good half hour, not saying anything, just watching. You've tried ignoring him, then glaring, then yawning in the most theatrical way you can manage. Nothing works. He keeps staring like he's waiting for you to magically iron something with your eyes. Aissatou nudges you. I think he likes you. You snort. Then he's got the taste of a tired goat. She grins. Goats are loyal. Goats eat trash. Laughter ripples around you. But it's the tired kind, the kind that rolls out, because silence would feel too much like surrender. Nade glances toward the soldiers. They always come closer when it's laundry day. What do they think they'll see a woman fall in love with? Soap Fatou chimes in. No, they're waiting for someone to slip, preferably into the water, ideally with a shirt clinging to her chest. There's a chorus of groans, mock horror, and sarcastic gasps. Men, someone mutters. Boys, really? Dogs, but with worse loyalty. You let your eyes drift upward again. The soldiers haven't moved. One is scribbling in a little book. probably trying to document native labor patterns or some other nonsense he doesn't understand. You imagine sneaking up behind him and writing laundry is resistance across his page in goat dung. Historians still argue whether the presence of French troops at sites like this was about surveillance control or simply boredom. In practice, it's always all three. You feel it in the way their eyes linger, not curious but weighing. You return to your wash, a pair of light trousers stiff with salt. The stitching is newer French again, probably worn by a young recruit, the kind who calls the older women maman and thinks that makes him loved. You dip the fabric and start scrubbing your hands firm and fast now. The rhythm returns. The world narrows to watercloth fingers and breath, but even in that narrow space you can still feel their eyes. Watching, you slap the trousers once just for punctuation and lay them on a sun-warmed rock. Careful, Aminata says he might think that was flirtation. Then he'll be very disappointed with what happens next. Isatu giggles. What would happen next? You grin. My sandal. His face. There's a hush. Then everyone laughs. Even Ndai, who rarely grants more than a smirk. Still the soldiers don't leave. One of them adjusts his hat like it's part of a plan. Another tosses a small pebble into the river. You're pretty sure that's supposed to look casual. It doesn't. Behind you, children scream with delight. Someone's splashing. The sound cuts through the tension like a knife through papaya. You turn to look. A group of kids 6 or 7, half-dressed and totally unbothered, are racing from one riverbank to the other. Their feet kick up sprays of brown water. One boy does a running leap from a rock and lands flat, creating a wave so big it hits Fatu's drying wrap. She jumps up. No, that one's already clean. The boy blinks. Now it's rinsed again. Now you're rinsed out of my life. She's bluffing, of course. The boy laughs and runs. She chases for 5 steps, then gives up and scolds the air for being complicit. You smile despite yourself, but your eyes drift past the children toward the tall grass at the river's edge. There, just for a second, the reeds part, and you see it. A glint, a ripple, something that doesn't belong. You freeze. Ndai sees your face and follows your gaze. Her voice drops. Crocodile. You nod, small one, maybe 5-6 feet, but that's enough. You lift your hand slowly and give the signal, 3 fingers in the air, then down. The laughter stops. Not panic, not yet, just silence. A thick, heavy quiet. Aminata grabs a child. Fatu pushes hers gently behind her legs. No screams, no splashing, no sudden moves, just stillness. You all wait, watching the reeds, holding your breath, then nothing. The reeds sway again, empty, gone, maybe. You let out the breath you didn't know you were holding. Mariama whispers, could have been a big fish. Ndai snorts, with teeth like that. The moment passes, but the water feels different now. Even the soldiers shift a little, clearly unsure what just happened. You glance back down at your baby, still asleep, still safe. You whisper to him, that's your lesson, little one. The quiet hides teeth. You all resume your work slower now, more aware. One of the soldiers calls out, everything all right? Aminata responds without turning, better than your laundry. The bend erupts in cautious laughter. You pick up the next garment. Your hands are steady, but your mind hums with what-ifs. Still the work continues, because it has to, because stopping isn't safer, because the water's always watching, and so are they. You rinse, wring, fold, and above it all, the gossip returns, softer this time. She's still planning the wedding, even though his mother said no. He told me the baby's not his. They found another basket of salt under the floor. Stories, secrets, soft distractions from sharp things in the reeds. You listen, you wash, you stay alert, and somewhere deep in your chest, you carry the feeling of eyes, both human and not always, watching. You press your heel into the ground as you kneel, but the wet clay squelches back like it's trying to swallow your balance. Your knees ache, one from an old fall, the other from a younger cousin who thinks knees are chairs. But you stay low. Laundry isn't elegant, it's gritty, wet, and constant. You reach into your pail and pull out something that makes you groan, a woolen wrap. You stare at it with the wary suspicion reserved for things that shouldn't exist in your climate. Thick, scratchy, and absurdly heavy when wet. This wrap feels like it was designed by someone who's never seen the sun. You mutter, "Why does anyone wear this here?" Were they trying to sweat to death politely? Day peers over. That belonged to one of the interpreters. From Marseille. That explains the smell. And it does wool and mildew and something faintly peppery. You soak it, and it immediately turns into a sponge, drinking up the river and your patience. You slap it against a rock, and it makes a noise like a sigh through teeth. Behind you, a low hum begins. Not gossip this time, but discomfort. A discussion is bubbling up between Mariama and her neighbor. "I told you vinegar kills lice." No. You have to boil the cloth in ash water, but that ruins the color. Not if you stir it counterclockwise. The debate escalates quickly. Others chime in. "It's not the lice, it's the eggs. You need lemon peel." No, you bury it for a day, then rinse." Aissa too looks at you wide-eyed. "They're fighting about lice." You nod sagely. They always do. Historians still argue about hygiene practices in pre-modern West Africa, especially during colonial contact. Written records by Europeans often dismissed the sophistication of local methods, but here you know better. You know the war on bugs is as old as the first mat, and no one gets more passionate than two women with different louse removal strategies. You lean toward Aissa too. Wait until someone mentions garlic water. Then the real battle starts. The vinegar faction gains ground. Someone produces a reused wine bottle with cloudy liquid. The ashwater crowd glares. You take the opportunity to rinse your wool wrap again and then lay it across a tree branch where it promptly sags like an overfed cat. Aminata, now visibly scratching her head, raises her voice. "We can argue, or we can all boil our husbands' pillows and let them suffer." A cheer goes up. You clap your hands together, partly in applause, partly to keep the ants off. One's already climbed up your forearm. You flick it off gently, no need to kill something that's just lost and confused. Like the French interpreter who left wool in a swamp. You move to the next bundle, a head wrap, with intricate stitching, delicate and almost lacy. You recognize it immediately. It belongs to an older woman who never comes to the river herself anymore. "Bad back," she says. But really it's more than that. She's quiet these days. Ever since her son was taken by one of the passing military patrols for questioning. That was 3 months ago. You hold her wrap a little longer than you need to. You rinse it like it's her memory. Carefully, thoroughly, kindly. You hum as you scrub. A soft tune. No words. Your baby shifts. You pet his back. He sighs in sleep. Behind you, the lice debate has devolved into a passionate explanation of salt concentration and the spiritual value of rosemary oil. Someone invokes her grandmother's ghost. Someone else says ghosts don't care about head wraps. A third suggests boiling both lice and ghosts for good measure. You bite back a grin, and just as you're about to dip the wrap for a final rinse, a fly buzzes in your face. You wave it away. It returns. You swat harder. It lands on your cheek. You slap your own face. The slap makes a smack sound louder than the river. Everyone turns. You blink. Dead fly in your hand. You raise your eyebrows. He had it coming. Laughter. Big, genuine, full belly laughter. Even the soldiers laugh, though you suspect they didn't see the fly. To them, it probably looked like you just lost a very personal argument with your own reflection. You finish the wrap, wring it gently, and lay it beside the wool. That's when you notice it. The ants, a small army marching toward your pile of folded items. You leap up and clap twice, warning the others. Ants, you shout. Again, groans ripple along the riverbank. It's not a surprise, but it's always a hassle. You grab a stick and gently flick them off your skirts, your sleeves, your drying mat. The smarter ones flee. The bolder ones get a gentle splash of water. You work quickly. They're here for starch, for soap scent, for shade. You're here for laundry and survival. And in a way, you're not that different. Isa, too, stomps on the ground. Why do they love us so much? Because we always have crumbs, you reply. From food, no, from hope. She blinks. That's sad. You nod. And true. The ant line thins. The worst is over. You sit again, damp with sweat and victory. Then Mariama stands up, holding her skirt out dramatically. Well, she says, if vinegar kills lice and ash water kills shame, what do I use to kill these stains? You look over. Her wrap has been invaded by red clay. Aminata leans in. Prayer. Ndai offers bribery. You add divine intervention and a very smooth stone. The wrap, clearly stained beyond salvation, becomes the latest subject of joint attention. A half circle forms around it. You all lean in, squint, sniff, touch. The verdict, it's doomed. But Mariama shrugs. Then I'll wear it proudly. Red clay is honest. A cheer goes up again. Someone sings a line from a praise song. A child tries to echo it and sings the wrong words. Another round of laughter. And through it all the river moves. The water keeps its secrets. And the soap continues to do what it does best, erase what it can leave the rest. You glance back at your pile. Lice, fleas, ants, and all you've made it through another half day. And tomorrow they'll still come. So will you. The woman beside you is muttering again. She's not talking to anyone exactly, not to you, not to herself either, but to the bucket in front of her. Or maybe to the water, or maybe to the pale wrap she's kneading like it owes her an apology. You listen without looking. Her lips form a rhythm of short-clipped Wolof phrases, a chant, a blessing, a threat, possibly all three. Spit and salt, twist and fold, out bad spirit, out ugly word, in clean day, in good news. You've heard her before. Her name's Ambient. People say she's got the tongue of smoke, not exactly a curse, not quite a gift, just strange. But her laundry always the cleanest on the line, every time. Isa too leans over. Is she serious? She's always serious, you whisper. Does it work? You shrug. She's never had a wrap fade, and that's true. Her whites stay white, her reds stay deep, and somehow no bird has ever dared ruin her drying line. People talk about her house the way they talk about storms, cautiously, with one eye on the sky. Historians still argue whether river women like Mbene practiced organized religion, ancestral ritual, or a personal mix of both. But no one here argues with her results. You continue rinsing a plain headscarf, one with frayed edges and a small ink blot near the fold. It's yours. You remember the day it got ruined. Someone handed you a wet letter, and the dye bled into the fabric like gossip into a quiet room. You tried to scrub it out. You failed, but you kept the scarf anyway. You glance at Mben's wrap. She's rubbing it with a smooth pebble from the riverbed, murmuring something as she moves in slow, precise circles. The cloth gleams. Is it magic? Isatu asks. Maybe? Is it allowed? You smile. Ask the soap. You fold your scarf carefully, the ink stain still there, a little lighter. Still yours. Across the bend, someone knocks over their rinse bucket. It spills into a lower basin, which spills into a sleeping toddler's leg, which prompts a scream so loud it scares a crane off the rocks. The toddler's mother swoops in, picks the child up, and glares at the guilty basin as if it had malicious intent. Everyone pauses. Then laughter bubbles up. This is why I wash alone, someone jokes. You don't wash alone. Your neighbors are the ants. I pay them in lint. More laughter. The morning sun is now full overhead. The light turns sharp, casting clean shadows across the water. You squint toward the west where clouds are beginning to flirt with the horizon. Just heat clouds for now. But the women begin shifting their loads, stacking what's dry and rotating the wet. You follow suit. Your baby stirs as you bend, murmuring something half-formed in his dream. You shush him gently. He falls silent again, his cheek pressed to your shoulder blade. The rhythm changes now. The scrub and rinse slows into sort and drape. The chatter dips in volume as if the river itself knows it's time to transition. But not for Ambient. She's still rubbing the same piece, still muttering. And then, as if deciding something, she stops. She dips her fingers into the water and flicks it 3 times across the wrap, once to each corner, then folds it in half and pats it down like a mother comforting a child. You feel the air shift, slightly cooler, sharper. Aminata notices. She's finishing her charm. Ndai frowns. Don't talk about it. She hears everything. As if on cue, Mbin looks up. Right at you. You don't flinch. You nod. She nods back. Somehow it feels like a conversation. Then she gathers her finished cloths and walks them to her fence line. Her back straight, her wrap tight, her steps unhurried. As she disappears over the crest, a breeze lifts one of her white garments. It flutters like a signal flag. You turn back to your own bundle. Still half done, still calling your hands. You rinse a small piece of underfabric, one that belongs to a woman who insists on starching everything, even socks. The rinse water turns cloudy, then clear. You smile, a small victory. Then your fingers brush something unexpected. At the bottom of the basin, a necklace. You lift it. Simple. Twine and shell. Nothing fancy. Definitely not yours. You look around. No one's missing anything. No one's searching. You hold it up. Anyone lose this? A few shakes of the head. A couple shrugs. A mumbled maybe, then silence. You could keep it. It's not valuable, but it's beautiful in that humble, accidental way. The kind of beauty that belongs to mothers or market sellers or first loves. You rinse it gently, rub the grit away. Then you lay it out flat on your drying mat beside the baby's wrap. Let it dry, let it be found. Because sometimes lost things come back if you give them space. And sometimes they don't. But you make room anyway. From across the river you hear someone call out. Mban's wrap fell, heads turn. The cloth lies in the grass, untouched by mud, wind placed, like it landed on purpose. Ndai clucks her tongue. She'll say the river carried it there. Maybe it did, someone replies. You glance once more at the necklace and think maybe rivers carry more than laundry. Maybe they carry stories, maybe even truths, or lies softened by soap. You are counting again, not out loud, not on purpose. But your fingers have started doing it, pressing each fold into the fabric like a tally mark, keeping score of something no one's asked you to track. This one's your cousin's shirt, 1 fold 2 creases a tuck under the collar. This one's from the midwife's daughter, half wet, probably going to dry stiff. This one, this frayed, bleached scrap is yours. You fold it last, always last. It's not superstition, just habit. Your things wait their turn. You lay the pile beside you and stretch your back. Your spine unspools with a sigh. From here you can see the path leading back up the hill, dirt packed hard by hundreds of return trips. Some joyful, some blistered. It's not time yet, but almost. Behind you, Isatu is frowning. Something wrong, you ask. She holds up a sleeve. It's short. You lean over. You shrank it. Her eyes widen. How heat, or time, or maybe the spirits wanted a laugh. She stares at the sleeve like it betrayed her. I can't give it back like this. You shrug, fold it carefully, distract them with compliments. On the shirt, no. On their smile. No one argues while being praised. She grins. You're dangerous, only when I fold. You share the laugh, but there's tension underneath it. Isatu's trying to impress someone. Maybe a future mother-in-law, maybe herself. Historians still argue how deeply laundry was tied to courtship rituals in colonial Senegal. Some accounts suggest a well-washed shirt could speak louder than a love letter. Others dismiss it as domestic mythology. But you've seen girls judged for stains they didn't cause, and boys praised for shirts they didn't touch. You pick up a stiff tunic next. French fabric again. Ridiculously thick, the kind that traps more than dirt. Sometimes you wonder if it's sewn from silence, because every time you wash one, the air gets quieter. Ndai stands suddenly. She's got that look again, the one she gets before the inspector comes. Someone's on the road, she mutters. You follow her gaze. Up the rise, a horse appears. Thin, dusty. Behind it, a rider. And behind him, a wagon covered slow foreign. Aminata hisses through her teeth. Again, you nod. Must be linen check day. Fatou spits into the river. Let's hope he's blind. You've met this man before. Not the same man exactly, but the same role. A cloth inspector sent from the fort to verify that the officers' uniforms have been returned in acceptable condition. He never says clean, he says acceptable. Like laundry is a debate. You start gathering the finished wraps, fast but not rushed, dry but not sun-cracked. You smooth corners, flip hems, refold anything too proud. Isatu is panicking. Do I hide the short sleeve? No, just smile and pray he's tired. The wagon clatters to a halt near the trees. The man steps down, tall, pale, sweating through his collar. He carries a clipboard like it's a sword. No one speaks. You don't greet him. He doesn't greet you. He walks the line, checking the folds, touching the fabric. Not enough starch, he mutters at Mariama's corner. Too much starch, he mutters at yours. You resist the urge to point out that the two comments contradict each other within the span of 7 heartbeats. He reaches for the white wrap, the one with the faded clay stain. He lifts it to the sun, tilts his head. You hold your breath. He squints, lowers it, scribbles something, doesn't speak. He finishes his round nods once and returns to his wagon. No thanks, no coins, no acknowledgement. Just the sound of hooves and wood as he rolls back into the dust. Everyone exhales at once. Fatou hurls a stone into the water. If he touched my wrap one more time, he'd have been wrapped in it, Aminata says, then buried in starch. Ndai sighs. At least he didn't bring the bleach, Inspector. That gets a laugh. You sit again, pulse still settling. Your baby stirs at your chest. You hum to him soft and low. The sun is higher now. The breeze has shifted. A warning. Time to dry fast. You and the others lift the pole's long bamboo rods, balanced on stones, and lay the clean cloths across them like prayers. The colors stretch out like flags, deep red sun-kissed yellows and crisp whites daring the sky to stain them again. One by one, the women step back, hands on hips, scanning the line for folds, flutters, threats. Aisatu shields her eyes. Do you think he'll come back? And not today, you say. But they always do. She nods, and then for no reason at all, she laughs. Not a big laugh, just a quiet one. The kind you let out when you realize you've survived something small but sharp. You look at the drying clothes. They are fluttering like lungs, breathing, waiting, and you fold a scrap of damp cloth in your lap, press your palm to your baby's warm back, and decide for the 100th time that this is enough. Today, this is enough. You hear the shriek first, sharp high rising from the river's edge like a reed suddenly snapped, then splashing, then more shrieking, joyful, chaotic, unbothered. You turn your head just in time to see a blur of limbs and muddy water, a cluster of children naked as birth and twice as noisy racing into the shallows, like a herd of very small, very determined buffalo. Someone throws a mango skin like a discus. Another retaliates with a wet slap of riverweed. One girl stands triumphant on a stone, declaring herself queen of the bank before promptly slipping off and landing on her behind. She gets up, bows deeply, and the others cheer. You smile. You always smile when this part of the day arrives. The work isn't finished, but the energy has shifted. The bend belongs to the children now. The laundry has been scrubbed, wrung, folded, or left in the sun to dry its own story. And the children, released from errands and from waiting, splash their joy across the water like paint. Mariama shakes her head. They're too close to the reeds. Ndai doesn't even look up. Let them play. The crocodiles don't come in the noise. You raise an eyebrow. That a proverb, she grunts. It is now. Isatu's watching too. They're brave. No, you correct gently. They're small. They haven't yet learned what to fear. Historians still argue whether community river spaces functioned as shared sanctuaries or barely contained risks. They cite crocodiles, disease, soldiers, and social tensions. But here now you know the river is both. It is the danger and the relief. One of the boys holds his arms out like wings, spinning in slow, dripping circles. Another pretends to catch fish in a wooden spoon, holding each imaginary catch to the sky before releasing it dramatically. They are flying fishing, transforming right there in the silt. Your baby stirs. You shift him slightly, patting his side. He doesn't wake. You think one day he'll run like that. One day he'll scare me senseless just by laughing too far from shore. Then the shrieking stops. Not a scream, not quite. Just a sudden change. The note held a beat too long. The silence that follows, meaning everyone's breath is on pause. You and the others all look up at once. In the reeds movement, something long, something low, and something very still. Ndi rises first, out of the water. The children know that tone. They don't hesitate. One boy slips but is yanked upright by another. They scramble, some toward the rocks, some up the slope, one directly into Fatu's drying sheets, where he becomes momentarily tangled in a sunlit battle with linen. You stand ready to run, heart hammering. The thing in the reeds doesn't move. Then nothing. Again. False alarm. You exchange glances with the other women. No one speaks for a moment. No one moves too fast. Finally, Aminata calls out to the boy stuck in the sheet. You alive in there? A hand shoots up from the fabric like a flag. Yes, but I think I broke someone's underwear. Laughter, shaky, relieved. The children return slowly, cautiously in pairs, clinging to the outer edges of your group, like shadows that aren't sure where to settle. You reach down, touch the forehead of a little girl with wide eyes and no words. You're all right, you murmur. She nods, but doesn't blink. And then a new sound cuts through, an old woman clapping her hands in a rhythm only she seems to understand. It's Memben. She has appeared again like a spirit or a habit, barefoot, carrying a fresh bucket, her expression unreadable. She claps 3 times, then stops. Don't fear it, she says calmly, like she's offering cooking advice. It only comes if you forget the water's watching. The children frozen nod like she said something sacred. Maybe she has. Mbane walks to her usual spot, kneels beside the river, and begins washing a single scarf. Methodical, unhurried. And just like that, the bend breathes again. Fatu untangles her sheets. The boys start chasing each other again, though now they keep one eye on the reeds. The older girls begin ringing out what the younger ones soaked, muttering about today's fools and ruined raps. Isatu exhales hard. You think it really was? You shrug. It was enough. Because that's how fear works. It doesn't need to bite you, it only needs to almost arrive. You settle back down, folding the child's wrap you'd dropped. The fabric is heavier now, damp from the scramble, wrinkled with tension. You smooth it gently. Your baby stirs again. This time, he opens his eyes. You smile down. You missed everything, little fish. He blinks slowly, then falls back asleep because of course he does. One of the girls begins humming, a lullaby, off-key, but sweet. Someone else picks up the tune. Then another. Soon the whole bend is humming a soft, wavering blanket of sound. A shield, a song against what might be waiting just beyond the reeds. You hum too, because laundry isn't finished until you've sung over it, until the folds know they're safe, until the stains know they've been forgiven, and somewhere out there beneath the water behind the reeds, the crocodile waits, not for flesh, but for forgetfulness, and you don't forget, not ever. It always starts the same one drop, then another. Silent at first, easy to mistake for sweat or the slow leak of river-soaked cloth. But you know better. You know the difference between damp and rain. The sky above is still blue, but there's a tone to it now, a dullness, like someone whispered something rude behind a cloud. The breeze sharpens, the scent of crushed grass deepens, and you feel it in your knees before you see it in the trees. Rain is coming. You stand. So do the others. There's no panic, not yet. This isn't the kind of storm that howls in on a chariot of thunder. It's the slow, creeping kind, the one that pretends it's undecided, then drenches your life's work in 5 seconds flat. Aisatu looks at the sky, hands on hips. We have maybe 10 minutes. Mariama grunts. We had 10 minutes. 3 minutes ago. Aminata's already moving, gathering the dry wraps first, the thinnest ones, the ones that might be ruined fastest. You follow suit. There's no shouting, no scrambling, just quick hands, strong arms, and eyes trained on the horizon, like soldiers watching an advancing line. You fold with speed and instinct, not care. You'll refold later. This is triage. The children know the drill too. One boy's already pulling poles from the ground. 2 girls dart between the drying lines, grabbing cloths that are half dry, half dream. Even the smallest ones carry something, even if it's just a sock or a square of cotton pretending to be helpful. You mutter under your breath as you work. Please don't drop anything. Please don't trip. Please don't let the wool wrap touch the red clay, because that's the real enemy, not the rain, but the run to escape it. Your baby wakes with a twitch. His body registers your sudden movement. You press a hand to his back. Shh. It's all right. We're dancing. That's all. Historians might write about agriculture, drought, and migration, but you'd like to see them write about the logistics of laundry sprinting. They've never had to carry 2 wet wraps, a fussy baby, and a basket full of soap tools up a muddy hill in a skirt. You stack what you can, balancing the bundle on your hip, with the grace of someone who's done this too many times. The women fall into formation without meaning to align a rhythm, a movement that has no leader, but always finds a pattern. Dai is last to pack as usual. She refuses to rush her folding, even if the world floods around her. You'll thank me when your edges aren't wrinkled, she mutters. You'll thank us when we're not wet, Aminata replies, already halfway up the path. The first real drop hits your cheek, heavy, warm, sincere. You look up. The clouds have arrived, thick, bruised, unapologetic. You double your pace. Your feet slide in the wet earth. The baby's weight shifts on your back. The basket digs into your arm. You clench your teeth and keep going. Behind you, thunder growls. It's not the loud kind. Not yet. Just the warning rumble of something very large clearing its throat. You reach the top of the path and exhale hard. Others arrive behind you, bundles high, wraps clutched to chests. No one's talking now, just breathing, watching the sky decide. And then, like someone flipped a basin over the world, the rain begins. Not a drizzle, a pour. Sheets of water slam down, drenching the air, soaking the path, turning the drying ground into a stew of clay and leaves. The lucky wraps are already under shelter, balanced on fence lines, draped over chairs, spread across shaded verandas. The unlucky ones are still out there, and someone is still running. A child sprints back down the hill, feet slipping wildly. He's chasing a pink head wrap that took flight in the first gust. It's dancing away like it belongs to the storm now. Isatu calls out, "Leave it," but he keeps going. You feel it in your stomach, a twist, a warning, the knowledge of 100 years of lost cloth. Then he catches it, just before it dips into the river. He holds it up, triumphant, soaked, and muddy. Fatu grabs him by the arm when he returns. "If you fall and break something, I'll use that as a bandage." He just grins. "You're all soaked now. There's no use pretending otherwise." Your skirt clings. Your hair flattens. The baby huffs against your back, unimpressed with nature's dramatics. You let your bundle fall gently to the ground under the awning. Water pools around your toes. You don't move. Someone hands you a cup of ginger tea, lukewarm, probably hours old, but you take it like it's gold. Indai sits beside you, still folding. In the end, she says, "Water always wins." You nod. "But we dry." She smiles. Eventually, the rain hammers the thatch above you. The wind pushes mist through the cracks. The river down below is rising fast, muddy, urgent, swollen with all your washed sins and folded hopes. And yet no one complains. You just sit, breathe, watch. Because you knew this was coming. It always does. The rain doesn't stop so much as soften. It goes from hammering fists to gentle drumming, like a grandmother's hand tapping out a lullaby on your shoulder. It's still too much to wash in, but not enough to fear. The kind of rain that makes everything smell more alive, earthier, as if the ground has just remembered it has stories to tell. You sit beside your half-wrapped bundle eyes on the rippling puddles that now pockmark the dirt floor beneath the thatched awning. The air is warm and thick. Even breathing feels like drinking something warm and slow. Isatu is crouched nearby, wringing water from her skirt with quiet frustration. "I think it's shrinking as I watch," she mutters. You grin. "It's just finding its true form. My true form is a sponge." "Then you're ready for the next wash." She groans and falls back onto her elbows. Around you, the women wait. There's no point rushing. Nothing dries in rain like this, and no one dares hang a wrap when the air is half water and full of judgment. So you do what women here have always done in moments like this. You talk. Fatu starts it. "Who remembers the last time we lost a whole wash to rain?" Mariama hums. "The wedding week, 2 years ago. The bride cried for 3 days. She cried because her groom showed up drunk. No, she cried because her mother-in-law wore white. White to a wedding," gasps Isatu. "White." With a matching umbrella. She walked like she owned the sky. Laughter rolls through the group like a new breeze. You glance over at Ndai, who's been silent too long. She's tying the final knot on a damp bundle. Her eyes are far away. You nudge her. "What's the worst rain you ever saw?" She doesn't answer right away. Then softly, "The year of the bad grain. It rained for 7 days. We lost half the millet, and a boy drowned by the bend." Everyone falls quiet. You remember that story. You were a child. The river climbed higher than anyone had seen in decades. The women stopped washing for days. The bend was silent, like it had forgotten how to breathe. The rain taps gently on the roof. Aminata breaks the silence, and yet here we are. "Still folding," says Fatu. "Still gossiping," adds Mariama. "Still dodging crocodiles," mutters Isatu. "Still folding," Dai repeats, but this time with a smile. You reach into your bundle and pull out a wrap. It's still damp, wrinkled at the corners, clinging to itself. Like a child unsure of strangers, you shake it loose and lay it on your lap. The pattern is simple white dots on maroon, but the fabric is familiar. Yours, worn during your sister's last visit, worn again when she left. You run your hand over it, smoothing old folds. Your baby shifts again, opening one eye just for a moment, then closing it as if unimpressed with the state of the world. You lean your head back against the wooden post and watch the sky turn a lighter gray. It's easing, someone says. You nod, not stopping, but easing. The conversation drifts. Did you hear about the French woman who tried to wash with perfume? Perfume, she said it would refresh the cotton. It melted the embroidery. She should have washed her mouth instead. And again the bend is filled with laughter. That gentle restorative kind. The one that tells you it's okay now. That the worst part of the storm has passed and you can stretch your arms without fear. Ndaya stands and checks her line. Some wraps are salvageable. Others will need another rinse. Nothing's ruined. Not today. You rise too. Your feet squelch in the mud. You don't mind. The river is louder now, swollen from the storm, moving faster. But still within its banks, still home. You gather what's dry enough to carry. Some wraps, some shirts, your child's tiny undercloth. You feel the weight of each item like a memory. Not heavy, just present. As you move, you pass the necklace again, the one from earlier. Still lying where you left it. No one's claimed it. But you don't pocket it. You let it stay. Maybe someone will recognize it tomorrow. Maybe they already have and decided it's not theirs anymore. You turn back once just before the slope rises toward home. The riverbank is dotted with shapes, bundles, buckets, people still under shelter, and colors. Always the colors. Even soaked and sagging, they carry pride. You say nothing, just nod once to the river, a quiet thanks. Then you begin the muddy walk back, step by careful step. At the top of the rise, the wind changes. It's the kind of wind that smells like iron pots and charcoal ash. The kind that tells you someone's cooking down in the compounds, peanut stew maybe, or fish slow cooked in lemon and pepper. Your mouth waters, but you keep moving. You've still got an armful of wet cloth and a baby pressed against your spine like a second heartbeat. Isa too walks beside you, now slipping a little in the mud, but holding her bundle close. I think I lost a sock, she mutters. Maybe the crocodile's wearing it. Tell him I want it back. You both laugh, tired and honest. As you walk past the last neem tree, the fence of your compound comes into view. Woven sticks patched with whatever the rains haven't taken. A line of old garments hangs like flags above it. Some yours, some your neighbor's, some older than both of your mother's. The door creaks open as you push through with your shoulder. Inside, it's dim and warm. The smell of yesterday's wood smoke clings to the corners. Your mother is seated by the hearth, peeling cassava, with a kind of slow efficiency that comes from having done it 1,000 times before. She looks up as you enter. Doesn't smile. Doesn't need to. Her eyes sweep over your damp bundle, your soaked skirt, your muddy feet, and then settle on your baby. She nods. He sleep through the rain. You nod back. He'll sleep through the next one too. You set your basket down and begin laying things out across the back wall racks made from spare cane, draped with old mats to soften the creases. Each cloth gets its place, even the soggy ones, especially the soggy ones. Did they come? Your mother asks. You know who she means. They checked the whites. Said nothing. Better that way, she says, peeling without looking up. When they talk, it costs. You hum in agreement, then pause. Mben's charm wrap blew into the reeds today. Your mother's hands pause. Just a second. And it landed clean, unstained. She nods again. She's getting stronger. There's no need to explain. In this village, reputation isn't about how many people like you. It's about how many things obey you. A wrap that lands clean is a message even if no one admits to writing it. Outside, the rain has slowed to a mist, the kind that lingers like gossip that no one dares claim. You step back outside, lift a corner of one of your wraps, damp, but not dripping. The heat from the baked wall will do the rest. You fold your arms and stare out across the fence. At the neighbor's house, a boy is trying and failing to fold his father's tunic. You can see the frustration in his posture, the way he slaps the fabric after every failed attempt. You call out, "The left sleeve goes first." He doesn't respond, but he fixes it. A win. Behind you, your mother is humming. A song you haven't heard in years. Something about millet and moonlight. You can't quite catch the words. You don't try to. The melody is enough. You check on your baby again. He's still asleep, his tiny mouth open like he's catching dreams. Historians still argue whether colonial women found domestic pride or domestic punishment in their work. But you know, the truth isn't in theory. It's in this moment, standing barefoot beside a fence patched with old wraps, breathing the scent of rain and cassava, knowing you kept something going. That's the pride. That's the punishment. That's the truth. You begin folding again. This time, carefully, thoughtfully. You smooth each corner, press each edge flat. Your hands move automatically, but your mind drifts to the river, to the children, to the soldiers, who'll never understand what it means to measure a day by how many wraps dry. One cloth has a small tear. You set it aside. Another is missing its matching head wrap. You make a note to ask tomorrow. You reach for the final piece. It's one of yours. A market day wrap, red with gold stitching. There's a patch near the hem where the threads come loose. You finger it gently. You'll fix it tonight. By lamplight, with quiet, your mother clears her throat. Bring the cassava, she says. You do. She hands you a knife, not sharp, but sharp enough. And the two of you sit together, peeling in rhythm. No words, no need. Outside, the wraps begin to dry. So do you. The cassava peels curl at your feet, like tiny white question marks. You and your mother work silently, blades rasping against skin, the rhythm so familiar it hardly feels like motion. Just another kind of laundry cleaning route instead of cloth. Every so often the rain ticks softly against the thatch roof. The kind of rain you don't rush for. The kind you let be. Your baby stirs again. You don't move to hush him this time. Instead, you shift your back so he can hear your mother's humming better. That tune again low, steady old as dust. You think you almost remember the words now. Your mother stops peeling, looks at you. You folded the white one. You know which one she means. You nod. Yes. She clicks her tongue against the roof of her mouth. It won't stay folded. You tilt your head. Why not? Because it still has something to say. You smile. That's her way. She believes cloths carry memory, that wraps worn at births, at deaths, at weddings, those don't just hold stains. They hold stories. And stories don't like quiet corners. You glance at the white wrap drying along the fence. The clay stain is almost gone, but not quite. A faint hue remains like the whisper of a memory too stubborn to leave. You rise, brush cassava, peels from your lap, and walk toward it. The fabric flutters in the breeze, catching the late afternoon sun in a way that makes it glow from the inside. You run your hand along the edge fingertips, tracing the ghost of the stain. And you say aloud, this time I hear you. Because you do. Back in the yard, someone shouts. It's Fatu from across the alleyway. They've brought more. You look up. A pair of young boys are dragging a woven sack toward her. It's bursting at the seams, shirts. Wraps even a child's blanket sticking out like a tongue. She waves the sack open and lets it spill. From the outpost, she explains. Said they're too stained to wear, asked if we'd make them new again. A groan rises from the women nearby. Aminata steps out of her home, already tying her headscarf. They always say, too stained, like we own the dirt. They say it like we didn't teach them what clean is, someone mutters. You leave your wrap on the fence and walk toward the commotion. The pile is impressive and offensive. Sweat-stiffened uniforms, socks with whole sheets that look like they've soaked up entire arguments. Aisatu pokes at one shirt with a stick. This one has blood. Ndai leans over her shoulder. That's not blood. Aisatu glares. Then what Ndai shrugs. Either way, you'll wash it. You sigh. Because she's right. You will. You crouch and begin sorting. Some pieces are salvageable. Some will never be the same. Some were never clean to begin with, just bleached lies wrapped around bad decisions. You pick up a child's tunic, small, yellowed. There's a rip near the shoulder seam. You pause. This one wasn't from the fort. This one came from a mother, a real one, someone who wanted something saved. You set it aside. Gently, the others keep sorting the pile, growing smaller with each judgment call. Keep, burn, repurpose. And your favorite return to sender, which really means fold it nice and place it where they'll trip on it. The sun starts to dip and the shadows stretch across the mud like long, sleepy arms. One by one, the women light their cooking fires. Smoke rises, wood cracks, and soon the air is filled with onions oil and fire-roasted laughter. Your mother calls for you. You gather your child, your remaining wraps, and your hands red and raw from a day's scrubbing, and walk back home. The pot is already bubbling. You drop a cloth over your shoulders, letting the steam rise through it, easing the ache from your bones. You feed the baby first, then yourself, then fold what's left to do tomorrow, and there is always something left to do tomorrow. As you press the last wrap into its place, your mother speaks softly from behind you. You did well today. You don't reply, you just nod, because she's not praising the cleanliness. She's praising the quiet, the control, the dignity, that thing you carry silently like a basket no one sees. Outside, the stars begin to fight their way through the clouds. You sit by the doorway, baby asleep in your lap, and let the air cool the sweat along your neck. And the wrap, the white one, it's still damp, still whispering, but softer now, and you're listening. Always you dream of cloth, not brightly colored market day fabric or the thick, tangled cotton of colonial uniforms, but something older, ancient even, a long white sheet stretched across the river fluttering like wings. Beneath it, women laugh, not just the ones from your river bend, but faces you barely remember. Your grandmother, a girl you knew before she bled, a woman with silver hair who used to wash by moonlight. They're folding the river like it's linen. Every fold sends a ripple. Every ripple lifts a memory. Then the sheet catches wind and you're suddenly running barefoot and laughing, chasing it as it flies toward the horizon. You wake with a soft gasp. Still dark, the night pressed tight against the woven walls. The baby murmurs, half stirring against your side. You pull the wrap higher around his back. He settles. Your back aches, your palms ache. Even your breath feels tired. But your mind, it's clear. That's what river days do. They steal from the body and return something deeper, a kind of clean that has nothing to do with soap. You rise before the sun, quietly, carefully. The fire hasn't been lit yet. The compound sleeps. You step outside into a world hushed by dew and distant frog song. And there, strung across the fence, your wraps still hang. Dry now, some curled at the corners, others stiff with overnight wind. But they're clean, honest, touched by rain, windwork, and silence. You begin folding again. It's meditative in this light. No children yelling, no gossip. Just you and the fabric and the occasional snort of a goat. Waking with attitude. First your mother's wrap, indigo dyed, worn thin near the hip. You fold it in thirds, then again, then press your palm to the crease, like sealing a secret. Next, your child's sleeping wrap. It still smells like milk and wood smoke. You tuck it close to your chest for one long breath before folding. Then the white one, the troublemaker. You hold it up to the sky, now softening into blue. The stain still faintly there. You touch it. No anger, no disappointment, just acceptance. Not everything wants to be erased. You fold it slowly, carefully. You don't hide the mark. You center it like a signature. Historians still argue what traces we choose to preserve. They write about monuments and manuscripts, forgetting the quiet legacy of folded cloth. But here with your hands, you know what endures. A wrapped child, a rinsed insult, a red-threaded hem that defied bleach. You bring the bundles inside just as the village begins to wake. Coughs, roosters, the rhythmic pounding of millet in wooden mortars. Your mother is already sitting at the hearth, combing her hair with slow, practiced strokes. She glances up, sees the folded white wrap at the top of your pile. She nods, then continues combing. You boil water, bathe the baby, sweep the floor, whisper to the clothes that didn't dry all the way. You tell them you'll get another chance. Later that morning, a knock at the fence. It's Fatu. She holds something out. You take it, the necklace, the one from the riverbank. I asked around, she says. No one claimed it. You turn it in your hand, shell twine, river-stained beadwork. I think you should keep it. You raise your eyebrow. Why me? Fatu shrugs. Because it waited for you. You say nothing, but you don't give it back. Instead, you carry it inside to the back of the room, where the small altar rests. Candles, herbs dried orange, peel a lock of hair from the baby's first trim. You hang the necklace on the peg above the old reed mat. It sways gently like it agrees. Outside, the women begin to gather again. Laughter, soap talk, an argument about starch. You hear Aminata already accusing someone of hiding the good rinse stones. You smile. The day begins again. The river waits, and so do you. The path back to the river is never the same 2 days in a row. Some mornings it's cracked like old hands. Other times soft and springy from rain. Today it's tacky, your feet stick a little with each step like the earth is reluctant to let you go. The sun hasn't fully risen, but already the sky's glowing the kind of pale gold that whispers rather than shouts. You walk slowly, not from tiredness, but from something else, a kind of knowing. You're not carrying as much today. No mountain of wraps, no stack of uniforms. Just a few things, your child's undercloths, a single wrap you wore during the last market day, and carefully tucked inside a calabash bowl the white cloth. You weren't going to bring it again. But then it looked at you this morning the way cloth sometimes does, a look without eyes, a nudge, a presence. And so, you've brought it. Again. The river's quieter than usual, fewer voices. The others will come soon, but for now it's just you and the current, and the sound of morning birds chirping like they've got secrets, and nowhere to put them. You kneel at your usual spot, feel the cool kiss of water against your fingertips. You dip the first undercloth, tiny, easy, familiar. You clean it with gentle swirls, humming a melody that doesn't need words. You wring it, you rinse again. You set it on a sun-warmed rock. Then you pull the white cloth from the bowl. The stain hasn't moved. You didn't expect it to. But it feels lighter, not in color, in weight. You don't use soap this time. You just bathe it. Lower it into the river like a child's feet meeting the sea for the first time. You let the water cradle it. You let the cloth drift. And as it moves, you realize you're not cleaning it anymore. You're letting it go. Historians still argue whether rituals like this, simple, quiet, unsanctioned, are spiritual acts or emotional closures. They'd call it symbolic cleansing. You call it necessary. You watch as the cloth eddies slowly caught in the lazy swirl where the current changes its mind. Then you guide it back with one finger. Catch it. Fold it still wet. You won't try to bleach it again. It's clean. Just not innocent. Behind you, footsteps. Aminata. She groans before she even sits. My back hates me. Your back is honest, she smirks. Then yours must be very polite. It never complains. Oh, it complains. Just in Wolof. You don't hear it. You work together quietly, side by side. The water splashes, the sun climbs, more women arrive. Soon the bend is alive again, shouts, fabric slaps, baby cries, gossip about whose husband forgot whose birthday, and you are in it, fully. But part of you is still holding that moment from earlier, that gentle release, that folding of something stained not to hide it, but to honor it. Aisatu drops down beside you, Guess what they found? The fort's missing boots. You raise an eyebrow. Missing, they blamed the goats. Did the goats wear them? They tried. Laughter. Laughter always comes back, doesn't it? Like laundry, like river, like memory. Later, someone brings mango slices. Someone else brings a new rumor about the market woman's daughter. And for a moment, you forget the stain. Then you glance at your pile. There it is, folded, waiting, not judging, and you understand something you didn't before. Not all stains are accidents. Some are stories that just never got washed away, and some stories deserve to remain. You're not sure when the white cloth became part of your ritual, but by now it feels wrong not to bring it. You don't wash it anymore. Not really. You carry it, you fold it. Sometimes you let it float just beneath the surface like a thought you're not ready to say aloud. It's yours now in a way that doesn't depend on who owned it first or what it was supposed to be. This morning, as you walk the path, the cloth rides atop your basket, a gentle passenger. You've placed it with care on top where it won't be crushed. The sky is heavy, not with rain this time, but with heat. The kind that presses against your skin before the sun has even crested the trees. The river is still. The current moves slow, like it's conserving energy for something later. You reach your bend and find it quieter than usual. Just Mariama and Ndaya today. The others are late, or tired, or choosing to scrub at home, tucked in shadowed corners. Storm last night, you ask, dropping your bundle. Mariama shakes her head. Not weather, just a bad mood. You nod. That happens. Some days the village feels swollen with tension. Unspoken things, whispered things, new rules muttered by soldiers who've never touched river water. Fatu argued with the trader from Rufiscat Dye Ads. He said her cloth was too rough to be worth salt. Too rough, you echo. Dye shrugs. He's never folded through a fever, I guess. You crouch and start to wash. Your hands move with memory now. Scrub, swirl, twist. Your fingers know every seam before they touch it. This piece is yours. That one is the neighbor's. This one was left anonymously at your door, a silent request. You clean it anyway. You always do. Halfway through your pile, a boy appears. Small, dusty, nervous. He holds out a shirt, too big for him, worn thin. Smells of wood smoke and blood. You pause, not because of the stain, but because he won't look you in the eye. You take the shirt gently. Who sent you? He shrugs. No one. You nod. Who's it for? Again he shrugs, but his eyes flick toward the west. The garrison. You say nothing else. Just dip the shirt into the water and begin. The blood is dry, rust-colored. You know how to coax it out. Warm water, ash paste, time. The shirt is badly made. French cut, but the stitching is uneven. Probably a conscript's. Probably his only one. You scrub gently, not to smear the fabric, but to honor it. Dai glances over, says nothing. She knows. A while later the boy returns, still silent. You hand him the shirt, now clean, still damp. He nods. Not thanks. Not apology, just recognition, and he's gone. Mariama exhales. They're too young to wear those shirts. They're too young to be carrying shame, you reply. You reach for your white cloth again. Hold it in the water. Let it float. A breeze stirs the trees. The river glimmers. Aisatu finally arrives, hair a mess, sleeves rolled high. Sorry, she mutters, dropping her bucket. I had to argue with someone's husband about why underpants need cleaning. Whose husband? Asks Mariama. Mine. Laughter. Big, full-throated. It breaks the tension like a cracked egg. You glance down at your rep. Still in the river edges, fluttering like wings. The stain is fading now, not from scrubbing, but from time. From surrender. From the way the current lets go without asking for permission. You lift it out, press it between your hands, wring it slowly. Not with force, but with care. You lay it out on the grass where the sun can find it. And then you sit back. hands in your lap, breath slow, listening, because there's always something to hear: an insult disguised as a joke, a memory folded into a tunic, a question passed silently through the hands of a child. And somewhere in all of it, the river, still moving, still watching, still carrying your stories downstream. You lean back and close your eyes. Let it take a few of them, just a few. You'll make more. By now, the river knows your name, not because anyone carved it into the banks or shouted it across the current, but because of the way your hands enter the water each morning, certain, tired, persistent. The river knows the rhythm of your breath, the slope of your shoulders, the exact weight of the cloth you carry. This morning, it greets you without fuss. No wind, no splash, just that low, whispering hum you've come to understand, not with your ears, but with your ribs. The white cloth is already folded. You didn't unfold it last night. You left it pressed beneath your calabash bowl, still holding the faint memory of a stain. Still telling a story, but quieter now. You carry it today, not for cleaning, not for display, but simply to carry it. You arrive before the others. The path is drier, now lined with footprints from yesterday and the day before. Every step is a memory, and your feet find the firmest ones without thinking. The bend is yours. The water is calm. You step down and kneel. No words, no soap, just hands and silence. You rinse a wrap. Your child's the one with the faded duck print, worn soft from dozens of washes and naps under mango trees. You rinse it slowly. You lay it over a stone warmed by morning sun. You do the same with another and another. Then you reach for the white one, not to wash, not to examine, but to listen. You place it on the water's surface and let it float just for a moment, just long enough to remember everything it's been through. The river catches it, cradles it. You let it go for just one breath. Then you retrieve it, gently, lovingly, like an old friend who left without goodbye and came back with stories written in silence. You squeeze the water out. You fold it once, twice, then tuck it under your arm. Today, you will not hang it. Today, it goes home in your arms. Aminata arrives just as the sun breaches the treetops. She groans as she kneels. If I die washing someone else's underwear, I want my funeral on a Tuesday. I like the way Tuesdays feel, you chuckle. I'll carve that on your stone. No stone, she says. Just a wrap. Tie it to a tree. Let it tell people I lived clean. Mariama arrives next. Then Fatu. Then Ndaya, slower than usual, but steady. Soon, the bend is alive again. Voices, splashes, the rhythmic slap of fabric on water. But your hands are slower today. You're not rushing because you've realized something. The work is never finished. The stain never really disappears. The water never stays still. But you get to decide what you carry and how you fold it. So you fold gently. You rinse kindly. You listen more than you speak. Because this bend, this water, this work is not just about laundry. It's about memory and dignity and resistance and quiet and presence. You glance at your baby now, toddling at the edge of the mat, chasing a frog, with the earnestness of someone who thinks frogs have answers. He trips, falls, giggles. You smile. He's learning. So are you. Later, when the sun tilts west and the air turns syrupy, you gather your wraps one by one. The white one goes on top. You walk home slowly. You will hang it beside the doorway, not for judgment, not for display, but as a reminder that you cleaned what you could, carried what you had to, and folded what was too stubborn to leave. You, a woman at a river, a cloth with a past, a silence that meant more than any speech. Now you're home again. The work is done, or at least set down for the night. The wraps are folded in their baskets. The child is curled against your ribs, a warm weight rising and falling, with breath so soft it could be the wind outside. The fire has faded to embers, and the air is thick with the scent of smoke soap and the sweet quiet kind of tired that comes from doing something hard and doing it well. You lean back against the wall, eyes closed, shoulders loose. In the corner, the white cloth rests dry now, still marked, still whole. It doesn't speak anymore. It doesn't need to. The frogs outside sing slow, steady lullabies. The roof creaks in rhythm with the cooling night. A pot clinks against stone. Somewhere a neighbor laughs softly in her sleep. You let it all wash over you. You've done enough today. You've carried what needed carrying. You've cleaned what could be cleaned. And you've made peace with the rest. So let your hands rest now. Let your breathing slow. Let the night arrive. The river will still be there tomorrow, and so will you.